Hi, I'm Tara Barnes, health educator for CalFresh Healthy Living and the Children's Collective, and welcome back to our Healthy Happy Families preschool curriculum. Today's lesson is lesson 3, and it's focused on watching children grow. So I will provide you with some helpful tips to support you and your child as they continue to grow and develop. I'm going to stop sharing my video and we will begin. So to recap our previous lesson from lesson 2, you learned about the importance of having routines for your children, as well as learning about ways to start new routines for your child or children. And there was also an at-home activity that you could do. It was called Children's Special Day, where you would offer opportunities for your child to select a special meal to be served at a meal time. So for today, I'm jumping ahead a little bit. Also, there's my plate. So most of you, if you're returning from previous lessons, then you're familiar with my plate by now. Again, it's just a guide to show our portion sizes for children and adults. And the reminder that making half your plates fruits and vegetables, make half the grains you eat whole grains, also including protein into your diet and dairy or potentially dairy alternative items. If you'd like more information, you can go to choosemyplate.gov where you can get additional tips and more information for you and your family. So our objectives for today's class is that parents will understand that each children's growth is unique or each child's growth is unique. Parents will know what to do to ensure that their child is growing properly. All of these are important to parents. And so I hope that we're able to cover a few things that could bring you a little support as you continue to support your child. So we all know it's natural for parents to compare their child to other children. It's just a natural, I think, reaction for a lot of parents. You want your child to do and be at the level of other kids their age. So it's a kind of a natural comparison that parents do. Unfortunately, these comparisons can leave some parents feeling concerned about their child's development because they're, kind of looking at their child in comparison to other children. And so if there are some delays or you notice that your child may not be advanced in certain skills, then that can cause parents to have some concerns about their child's growth and development. What parents need to know is that all children grow and develop at their own pace. And it is important for parents to be aware of what their child can and cannot do and to structure the environment according to those abilities. So for instance, if you have a child that's timid or shy, parents should introduce them to new situations gradually. So for instance, if you're introducing your child to new family members for the first time, and instead of just saying, hey, say hi to such and such, or go give them a hug, you may want to do that slowly and allow your child to actually go to the person when they're ready or give them a hug when they're ready. Some children, if they're timid, it just takes time for them to adjust to certain situations. So again, respecting their space, respecting what they are comfortable doing, and not rushing them to do things that we feel as adults that they should be doing, as they all are on their own kind of schedule in a sense. So even though all children are unique, there are some developmental milestones that parents should be aware of. So, for example, if you have a child that is 2 years of age and they're not saying any words, that can be a sign for potential developmental problems. So, if you were to notice that about your child or a child who's around 2 and not able to use words or they're not using very many words, having a routine visit to your doctor could help catch these types of problems early. And as parents, you are encouraged to be aware of your child's growth and development to help them know when and what to ask the doctors during these visits. So you as a parent, you want to be aware of what your child can and cannot do so that way when you go to the doctor, you're able to ask specific questions that are of concern to you. So every child's growth is unique. And sometimes that means that parents become concerned about their child's growth. They think their child is often too skinny or too heavy, too tall or too short. Parents may also wonder if their child is eating enough food or perhaps that they could be eating too much. However, it is important to know that a lot of this is because children grow at their own rate and in their own unique way. And so they may not eat, the way that we expect them to at one moment. And then at another moment, they could eat like way more than we expect them to. So it's just a lot of times it's just based on the fact that they are growing at different rates and, their body's just continuously developing. And so as a result, their appetites fluctuate. Some children grow taller and then they fill out they'll grow taller first, then they'll fill out, while there's other children who may gain weight first and then they'll start to sprout and grow taller. Growth is rapid in infancy, but it tends to slow down during the toddler and preschool years. So, as we all know, infants eat throughout the day, kind of constantly. Whereas as they get older and become toddlers in preschool, you'll notice that their appetite will decrease. They may not eat as much at certain points as they, enter toddlerhood and preschool ages. And again, children's appetites can sometimes decrease during those toddler and preschool years. So again, you may see a change in, just their interest in food. And if you're not noticing anything unusual as far as them like not sleeping or they're cranky or just, you see some, they're losing weight rapidly or something. If you have those concerns, then it's important to reach out to their doctor. But if you see that your child is, sleeping well, they're playing, they seem happy, they seem to be developing all other areas, then more than likely their appetite is due to the fact that they are growing. So that may be, just it's not a huge concern in that sense. Parents can do the following to make sure that their child is growing properly. So one thing you can do is to keep track of your child's growth at home on the wall, and we'll discuss that in a little bit. Serve your child nutritious foods for meals and snacks, and that includes water as well, which I think I may bring that up as well. Schedule regular medical checkups and ask your doctor if your child is growing normally. Serve your child water, like I said, instead of sweet and sugary beverages. Sugary beverages just add a lot of unnecessary calories that aren't needed. It also can influence weight gain and potentially create dental issues such as cavities within our children. So it would be best if you can limit their intake of sweetened beverages and increase their water intake. One tip I will say is that if you're having a hard time with your child drinking water, maybe try infusing it with some, fruit or little herbs or something like mint. A good tip is that if you don't all, you may not always have fresh fruit on hand, but if you do have frozen fruit, that's great. Or if you have leftover fruit that you don't know what to do with it, you can freeze it, chop it up, freeze it, and then at a later date you can add it to water to make it infuse with a little ice, and that may entice your child. Make sure your child is active and try to play together as a family. When your children see you interacting or engaged in activities and having fun, that helps to encourage them to do the same. And the physical activity guidelines for Americans recommend that children get at least 60 minutes of unstructured physical activity a day. So unstructured means that they're not, that they're playing freely, that they're running, jumping, climbing. You want to give them those opportunities in addition to structured play. And structured is more like if you have games that you're going to do, say, hide and seek or duck, duck, goose. Those are more structured activities. So this is a question for you just to think about. And I have a few questions to ask, but the first one is, how do you know if your child is growing normally? And are all of your children growing in exactly the same way? And like I said a few minutes ago, um, kids are all growing at different rates. So, you may not want to compare your children if you have, more than one child, because they are different and they do develop at different times. So this just will be just a little example of what I was saying earlier and how some children go, you know, gain weight first, then grow taller, or grow taller first and gain weight. So this is just a little example, visual for you to see. So again, some kids may gain weight first, kind of fill out, and then they'll start to sprout and grow taller. And then you may have some children who actually may, grow taller first, and then at some point they kind of, then start to gain some weight over time. Again, these are all normal forms of development. But again, if you have concerns or if you feel like your child isn't growing at the rate that you personally feel, or if you notice any type of physiological, I guess, concerns or issues, such as them not sleeping or they're starting to lose weight rapidly, then I would recommend that you seek the assistance of their pediatrician. So it is normal for children to have periods of slower growth as well as spurts of growth. Children's appetites can be the same way. So during these growth spurts, they can be very hungry at some points, but then during times of slower growth, their appetites can decrease. So again, I'm reiterating the fact that children's appetites fluctuate over time as they continue to grow. Parents can support their children's growth by serving foods from all of the food groups. And again, that's like the My Plate food groups. So protein foods like beans and meat, fruits and vegetables, milk and dairy, as well as bread and cereals. Again, I want to highlight that when you offer uh, grains to your children, try to make at least half of them whole grains. So you want to look for the labels to say 100% whole wheat, whatever it may be. You want that to be on the label as well as in the ingredients list. Parents can also help children grow by serving them water instead of sweet beverages, which can make children feel full, and then that could impact the way that they eat. So they may not even eat well because they're full off of those beverages. So again, like I mentioned earlier, try to start introducing your children to drinking more water by infusing it if you have to, or allowing them to select what fruits they would like to put in their water so they can customize it. And chances are they will probably drink it more if they've had some involvement in preparing it. And if they see you drinking water and making that a priority for yourself, then chances are they'll develop those habits as well. So this little activity will be a little more in depth if we were together in a more formal in-person capacity. But this is just a hypothetical little activity, just more so for you to just think about. So Fred and Wilma need your help. Fred and Wilma are parents who need our advice. What are some ways that Fred and Wilma can make sure that their child is growing normally? So we kind of discussed this a few minutes ago, but here are the answers, or some of the ways we can assist. So they can make a growth chart on a wall. They can talk to your child's pediatrician if there are any concerns. They can also offer their child fruits and vegetables during meal times. They can give their child plenty of water throughout the day to stay hydrated, as well as to provide or to receive the vital minerals and nutrients that they can get from water. And they can also offer them whole grain foods like bread and brown rice. So if you know of any more, the more the better. But if we were in a in-person class, I would, be asking all of you to kind of type in the chat box as to your answers, and would have been a little more engaging, and we could have more of a discussion. But these are 5 ways that we could have supported Fred and Wilma to help them to make sure their child was growing normally. So how does your children grow? How do your child grow? Keep track of your child's growth. It's very important. And what you can do is watch for big weight changes, whether they're gains or losses. And you should talk to your child's doctor about how they're growing and changing, especially if you have concerns or you notice that they're starting to lose weight or they're gaining weight kind of quickly. So again, paying attention to those changes. Also, a poor appetite for a long time can also mean that there's an issue. But if your children have energy, they feel okay, or they're growing normally, it is probably normal. However, if you have concerns as a parent, you should again seek the advice from your child's doctor. Many children gain weight before they grow taller, whereas other children gain weight, whereas other children grow taller than gain weight first. And again, we're kind of bringing this up yet again because it's a good way for you to be reminded that to try to limit comparing your child to other people's kids or to other children that you have, only because they're all different. So here are a couple of, I think I may have more than this one, but here's a true or false. Again, you would annotate, or you would, kind of chime in through the chat box if we were doing this more interactively. But the question is true or false. It is unnatural for parents to compare their child to other children. And that answer is false. It is not unnatural. It's actually natural for parents to compare their child to other children, as I had discussed in the beginning of this presentation. True or false? Children's appetites often decreases during the toddler and preschool years. And that is true. Like I mentioned a few slides ago, yes, children's appetites fluctuate throughout the preschool and toddler years. So that is true. True or false? Parents should make sure their child is active and play together as a family. And that is true. The more you can play, offer opportunities for your child to play and be active, the better, their development and growth will be. You're supporting that. And if they can see you playing or you're engaging in physical activity and play with them, that just encourages them to want to play more. And it also helps you too. It helps with bonding. It also helps you with your health. And it helps to show that physical activity is an important part of your family, of your life in general. So we're kind of coming towards the end of our presentation. And one question is, what can parents do? What can you do to ensure your child is growing? So some things that you can do are schedule regular medical visits, talk to your children's doctor about their health and growth. Again, bring up any concerns that you may have, and also share with the doctor the skills or strengths of your child so that they have a really clear picture of where your child is at in that moment. Serve nutritious foods. Growing children need to eat healthy foods, so you want to give them a variety of fruits and vegetables, whole grains, and lean protein. Fruits and vegetables can come in any form, whether they're canned, frozen, fresh. However, but the more leafy greens, more colorful greens or colorful vegetables you can provide, and the more colorful fruits you can provide, your child will benefit by getting those variety of nutrients and vitamins. And pay attention to your child's growth. Offer them more food only when they're hungry, and try to avoid overfeeding them. So allowing them to eat, the appropriate portion sizes, and then maybe if they want seconds, then provide, seconds for them if you choose to. But again, when children are growing and kind of developing, if their appetites increase, then you may have to, offer them a little more food. But again, you want to do that in a way where they're not overeating. So here's an at-home activity that you can do with your child, and it's called Watching Children Grow. Like I mentioned, it's at home, like a measuring your child's height. So children are always growing and developing new skills, and sometimes it seems that they are growing up so fast. So a fun way to chart that is by creating this height chart or growth chart. I'm sorry. So what you'll need are a pencil and tape, and you also need a wall, a blank wall, or some little space, or even if it's in your door, within your door frame, you can use that space as well. So what you'll do is find a wall or the inside of a closet door or any door that you choose. Have your children stand against the wall and mark their height with a pencil or tape. Write your children's names and the day's date next to the mark, so that way you can track it and know when you actually charted their growth. Talk about how your children have grown. So make it a conversation with them about their growth. Um, and you can do this every 3 months. It's a nice way to just keep track of seeing how much they grow over time. Show your children pictures of themselves at different ages to compare. Talk about how they're growing. How might they be different the next time you measure them? And then also talk about what foods and drinks have made them grow. So again, this can be a fun way to create dialogue about your child's growth, their own personal growth, and it can also foster excitement as they see themselves, grow a little taller every 3 months or however often you chart them. So then you can actually make this an interesting and fun activity for you and